It has been 3 years since Sunset Shimmer had returned back to Equestria from the other world. Ever since she had returned back, Twilight actually had offered her a position as a teacher in magic at School of Friendship, which which Sunset immediately accepted. She actually had wanted to be a teacher ever since she left the other world. But ever since she had been returned, though, she had been quite alone. There was only one thing in her mind, is that if she will find a some pony to be with. She wasn't really sure what to do since it has been quite some time since she actually were in an official relationship or even has been on an official date. But even so, she decided to focus mostly on her teachings during the time when she had time for it. Even so, even other her friends, Applejack, Rarity, and the others, they actually had noticed that Sunset seems to be almost distant from herself. Every time when her classes are over for the day, she either returns back to the castle to either read for herself or spend time with Starlight. But other than that, she just stays by herself. It happens that though that she do happens to spend time with her other friends, but for the most part, she is a bit loner. And Rarity, when she was talking to Twilight once, sweetie, you had to help your friend Sunset. Twilight was like, what do you mean, Rarity? She seems so quite alone lately. Have you even noticed it? Yeah, I have noticed it, and you may be right about that. But it's nothing we can do about it. And it's like that you could just set up her for a blind date with one of your male friends. It's it's not like we interrupting her personal life, but we had to accept that, and even we had to accept her private life. Yeah, that's true. But don't you think that she maybe could feel a bit happier if he was maybe dating somebody? Yeah, but have you been thought about who though? I mean, since she had been back, she hasn't been really much thought about dating. But did she told me when I asked her once that she will be dating when she feels ready. But there has been at least a couple. There has been a while since she's been back, and she hasn't been dating any pony ever since, has she? And Twilight shook her head and said no. But I will respect her wishes. And then they dropped it. But Twilight was actually right though, because one morning, just before School of Friendship was going to there, Sunset, can I talk to you? Yeah, what is it? Where's Piper, by the way? Oh, he's already at school. Oh, okay. Um, ever since you've been here, let me guess, you all are still trying to find me a date or this word about it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Twilight, you don't have to worry about it. I, I mean, I'm, even though I not seems to be ready, but I'm just trying to get used to being as myself. And you can't blame me that. No, I can't, said Twilight. But, you know, I actually have been thinking about it quite a lot of days quite recently, said something. And Rarity talked about this speed dating service that has recently opened here in Ponyville. Yeah, about that. Yeah, it could be something you could try. It doesn't even hurt to try this, said one of his big smile. Yeah, I will think about it. So the rest of the day, it actually went, it's quite normal. But on the Friday the same week, since Sunset actually had only a half of a day of teachings, since her shift ended around 2 p.m., and since she didn't have any other particular plans for the rest of the day, Sunset thought about why not give it a try to this speed dating. So she went there even without telling her friends about it. And she signed up, and she did notice there were quite a few stallions and even quite a few mares. So she signed up, and even so, even when she was doing it, and trying to connect to some other stallions, but unfortunately, there wasn't any much that she felt any sort of any common ground connection towards. But near the end, she was actually connected to at least one, and it was actually a friend of hers, Thunderlane. She was surprised when he was even there. But after this meeting was over for the day, Thunderlane asked if Sunset wanted to go somewhere to just grab something to eat. And since it was still early afternoon, and she said yes, why not? So they went to this hay burger place in town, and she even said, I didn't know you were really much looking for a date or a special song pony. And Thunderlane's like, yeah, I mean, I have been raising my younger brother, Rumble, my own, and, being a wonderbolt full time and a parent slash brother to my own brother. It takes a lot. And even though I have friends that actually can babysitting him from time to time, but, you know, it feels a little bit lonely sometimes. So I thought about it and wanted to try to find some point to be with. She nodded and said that she had, ever since she had came back from the outer world, which Thunderlane was aware of, she hasn't even been dating anybody. But she was ready to give it a try at least. But then he asked if she would be willing to come over for dinner that same evening as a date. She smiled and said yes. So after they left the hay burger place, Sunset went back to the castle, smiling, and when she went back there, Twilight noticed was something a bit different about her. Oh, you're smiling a little bit more than usual, said Twilight with a big smile. Yeah, you can say that. Let me guess. You met the some pony, didn't you? You know me too well, Twilight. Who is it? A friend of ours. Hmm. Wait. Um. Yeah, I don't know. Who is it? Thunderlane. Wait. Thunderlane? Sits Mike from the couch. Yeah, he asked me out. Whoa, whoa, whoa. How? Well, you remember that speed dating? Yeah. Well, I tried it, and he was there. Yeah, I can understand that when he being a full-time Wonderbolt and raising his younger brother, and I can understand he wants to find some pony to be with, at least a potential future partner with. Yeah, understandable. And I'm going to his place for a romantic dinner date. Oh, my sweet Celestia, said Spike. I hope you go well. Same here, said Sunset. Later that afternoon, or in the evening, Sunset walked over to Thunderlane's home. He opened the door, welcomed them in, and he informed her that his younger brother was over at Cloud Chaser's house for the night, so they would be interrupted, which she didn't mind. I mean, she did like Rumble. He is a very energetic and almost like a mini copy of his older brother. But they actually had a good time that dinner. They talked about a lot of things, their common things, like common interests, and even asked some things about his outer world. He had definitely been told much about it from the friends that he knew, but she was glad to tell him like how different the creatures instead of walking on two legs then have so-called hands. Like it's like dragons with claws, but it's quite similar to that. He's trying to explain, and he asked if there was this other creature known as Thunderlane in that world. She nodded, and he asked if he was dating some point there. She said, "Not what I remember, but he did dating a few girls at the school, but not when at least when I left though." They actually enjoyed the dinner. Even afterwards, around 9 p.m., it was time for her to go back to the castle. She gave her a hug and thanked him. But before she left, Thunderlane asked her if she would like to go out again. She said yes, and he said yes. Why not go have a picnic the next day, in the afternoon, outside on the meadows? She accepted. When she went back to the castle, she was ecstatic. She was excited to have a potential future boyfriend. So the next day, she actually went with Thunderlane to this meadow and just had a great time. They had a lot of sandwiches, some cupcakes with him, and even some cider, and just having a great time. And even for the following next couple of weeks, things between her and Thunderlane was actually looking bright. For a long time now, she had felt a potential future with Thunderlane. She felt happy. And after they'd been dating for almost 2 months, they made it official. And even Twilight and her friends were just so happy to see that she has found a boyfriend. But unfortunately, it wouldn't last long. She knew that they wouldn't be able to see each other so often since he's a full-time Wonderbolt, and that he often sometimes is away for a couple of days of practice, or that he happened to travel around with the other Wonderbolts for tours around Equestria. Sometimes it can be for a couple of weeks and maybe as almost a month, but she understood that, and he always sent her a postcard saying how the practice, how the show's been going on, that he misses her. But after he went off on a tour that lasted for almost 3 weeks, when he came back, he said that they needed to talk, and she was worried that something had happened. But unfortunately, it turns out during his time away, he had fallen in love with somebody else, and she asked who. It was actually his friend Cloud Chaser, because it turns out he ran into her by accident when she was in Maid Haddon for a visit for an old friend, and they start talking, and he realized they actually had so much strong feelings for each other. But he also knew that he was already with Sunset, and it was a hard choice. But she said to him she understood, and she can always be there for him at any time if they need to talk or if he needs any help with Rumble. And he also accepted it. But she decided to keep this a secret from her friends. But it didn't take long for this to come out though, because only a few days later, all of her friends knew it. They felt devastated. They had even been together for at least a couple of months. But they knew that sometimes a long-term relationship doesn't even last long. But at least Sunset was happy to have given it a try at least. But Twilight said to her, even if they didn't work this with Thunderlane, there's always other stallions to try with. Maybe try again. Yeah, but I would like to be alone for a little bit, you know? Yeah, I can understand that, Sunset. And that little bit while actually lasted for just 1 year, in fact. But about a whole year later on, Sunset has still even had moved on, but she still hadn't even tried to be dating somebody else. So one afternoon, when she was over at Fluttershy's cottage for tea and biscuits with Fluttershy and Discord, they were just talking about some other things, and suddenly when Fluttershy left, Discord just talked to her a little bit. He wanted just to ask her, "So, Miss Sunset, how is the school doing for you so far?" "Yeah, it's going good, Discord. Teaching the students are a lot of fun, actually. I mean, if Rainbow wasn't the gym teacher, you probably would may have been the second option." As if Twilight will let me," said Discord a bit of smile. You don't have it even. You have probably not even asked her, have you? Nah, not really. By anyway, though, Discord. So, how long have you and Fluttershy been dating? And this girl was like, what, me and Fluttershy? Oh, whoa, whoa, hold your horses there. No, we're not even dating at all, Sam said. We're just friends. She's actually my best friend. She's like a sister to me. That's it. Oh, well, I've assumed. Well, you assumed wrong, though. Don't be offended of Discord. No worries, Sunset. I'm not offended. I understand. In fact, a lot of other opponents actually had asked me the same thing, and they all said they had the same answers. Okay, if I say this, even if I were being interested in Fluttershy, I may have been considered dating her, but I see her only as a friend. Oh, but if I ask this, if there's any mayor you would even consider being dating, who would it even be? And this group was quite silent for a moment. Huh. You know, not many ponies actually had asked me that, but I may have to say, um, well, other than Pinky, since you know how she is like. Yeah, she's like almost like you, like chocolate rain all the time. You bet. But honestly, though, there is only one mayor that I ever even would consider to be with. Who? But then he tried to change shop subject. Let's also talk about something else, please. Come on, Discord. You're my friend. Fine, Sunset, but if you really want to know, it is you. She blushed and was silent. Wait, are you serious? Yes, I am. But understand, well, I mean, I wouldn't mind to try to date you though. Wait, are you not scared of me, like being different? Yeah, a little bit kind of term, yes. I don't see you as different, Discord. I would be dating you no matter what or what other people's or other opponents say, okay? We can list, we can go on a date to see if it actually can work. Discord was silent for a moment, but he agreed. And when Fluttershy came back, she actually wasn't aware of what they were been talking about, but they did mention this to her because they didn't want to give her any false hope, at least. But the next day, Discord actually had summoned Sunset to his dimension, Chaosville, to have dinner. She had actually been over to his dimensions before a couple of times, so she was used to his way of life. So she was afraid. In fact, she had the opposite. She was actually having a blast of a time. She makes a lot of jokes, and Discord actually felt happy for once. It didn't even take long for him to make it official after just 2 months. But during these 2 months, though, they actually had kept it a complete secret from their friends. The reason why is because they didn't want to give them any false hope. But after 2 months, they actually announced they were a serious couple. Fluttershy was just excited for her friend to have found some pony that he can be with. And the others, they were like, wait, are you serious, Sunset? She was expecting that they would be angry. Wow, that's just, you know, I never even imagined you and Discord, said Applejack. But Rainbow's like, wow, you really are neat to this. I mean, this is just neat, you know? Kind of amazing. 20% cooler than I've expected. Sunset and Discord is happy for all the support they have. But even so, Sunset, she didn't even care if there was some ponies that was against their relationship. But as long as she was happy, she is happy. And during this time, though, it happened that Discord and Sunset actually went on many dates throughout the rest of the year. But there was around New Year's Eve when Sunset actually had invited Discord to celebrate the New Year's Eve at the castle. with Twilight and her? Discord said yes. But there was something that Fluttershy, that Sunset also wanted to do. She wanted to invite Fluttershy. So during the day, in the afternoon, Fluttershy was invited. She said yes, and she would be there, but it was something else. During that on the way home, they heard this sound. It was the Timberwolves. But they didn't left the forest. They only heard the sound of the howling in it deep in the woods. Fluttershy's like, they are really active today. And Sansa's like, yeah, but at least that they're not even approaching us though. I mean, if they were that, I would teleport us at least on some distance from here. Yeah, be glad for that though. I really don't like those, said Sansa back. Yeah, they can be quite vicious, said Fluttershy. So they went to the castle to celebrate the New Year's Eve. But it was something that Sunset didn't even expect. Because during the celebration of the New Year's Eve around midnight, Discord actually proposed. That even had been together for just barely a couple of months. But to him and her, it felt like they had been together for an entire year already. And Fluttershy and Twilight, they were like big eyes. And Spike, who was asleep, he didn't react like afterwards when Sunset said a big yes. What is happening? Said Spike. It was like almost quite tightly. And Twilight filled in what happened. Wait, are you serious? Said Spike, almost big question mark. She nodded, and he looked, and sure enough, he actually did propose. The very next day, all their friends were informed, and they had asked Celestia if she wanted to perform the ceremony for them, which she said yes. Twilight was asked to be Sunset's bridesmaid and Spike to be Discord's best man. They decided to have a small, close wedding, with close friends and close family. But even so, they both actually had us a great time. Even on the actual wedding day, then about the next year, around springtime, Sunset was a bit quite nervous, but she was happy from the big day. Even at the party that which Pinky had arranged, everybody had a great time. They could just seeing how happy Sunset and Disco were together. It could have been an amazing time for them. And not a surprise. Discord actually had a big special surprise for Sunset. He snapped his fingers and said now that he is immortal as him. She was stunned, but she accepted this gift. They later actually went to settle Arabia for 3 whole weeks for the honeymoon. Just having a blast of time. Sightseeing, and even do some exploring, and even just have a good time. And barely 3 years after they got married, both Discord and Sunset actually announced they were expecting the first baby, a daughter. And then the day came when the first daughter was born. They named the daughter Pyro. Pyro actually had inherited her father's chaos magic, and although she was growing up, she had a little bit difficult to handle these powers. But luckily though, her father was there around to help her. And while she was growing up, she actually fell in love with the sport buckball. She wanted to be a buckball player since they often went to see any local games in Ponyville and even Appaloosa. When she was older, she actually enjoyed this game after she had joined the Ponyville's buckball team. And at some point there, she even had fallen in love with one of the male players and actually got married to him after they'd been dating for about 3 years. And they later have 2 daughters and one son together. 3 years later, they had another daughter which she named Phoenix Feather. Phoenix Feather had also in her both her mom's magic as a unicorn and her father's chaos magic. Combined with this was a little bit unusual for her, but lucky to have both parents there to helping her. And because she had a very difficult to handle the powers with the combined. But she loved it though. And it actually has sparked an interest in her to be a teacher. And in fact, when she was older, she wanted to be a teacher. And when she finished her studying and was had become a teacher, she actually was offered the teacher of magic at School of Friendship by Twilight, which she accepted. It was because that her mom, Sunset, had retired as a teacher, and at some point she even fell in love with a stallion. They actually started dating and got married after being dating for about 4 years, and they later actually have two daughters of their own together. 4 years later, they have a son, which they named Chocolate Chaos. Chocolate Chaos was like his father, had inherited both his mom's magic and his father's chaos magic. And he actually had a good training when he was growing up, like his older sister has. But there was one thing he loved to do most. It was actually reading and making his own stories. And in fact, he fell in love with his passion of making his own stories after reading Daring Do when he's growing up. He wanted to be his own adventure writer one day also. And one day when he was 21, he actually published his first adventure book, and it became a good hit. He even fell in love with a mayor from Ponyville, and they even got married after being dating for about 4 years, and they later actually have one son and two daughters together. And he was just happy to have this big family with his new wife. Sunset was actually happy to have found her true soulmate within Discord. Even it was unusual, but he was just happy to find some. And even Discord he was happy to have found his true love. And this is how Discord and Sunset Shimmer found a true love, got a big family together. The end.